Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we convene our fourth of 5 sessions in a program on forgiveness under duress. What does forgiveness mean in a time of great crimes? As it's turned out, this week marks the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. It's known popularly as Holocaust Memorial Day. It was on Monday, but all week there are commemorations at Auschwitz and at different former concentration camps in Europe and memorials around the world. I think it's clear that the Holocaust was possibly humanity's greatest crime. And the question of whether it's forgivable or not has been pondered by many thinkers and philosophers and scientists and humanitarians for many, many years. Today also happens to be the day on January 30th, 1948, when Mahatma Gandhi, the great crusader for peace and nonviolence, was assassinated in India, having led the nation to independence, and was assassinated by a Hindu nationalist. And that caused a consternation, which, like the Holocaust, what do you do in the face of a saint like Gandhi, gunned down? What does forgiveness mean in a time such as that? And an act such as that? I want to deepen our reflections on forgiveness by asking the question today, what forgiveness means for a crime that is not past, but is ongoing. The White House has just announced that the first foreign visitor, foreign head of state to be received by the Trump White House will be Benjamin Netanyahu. And they made it clear that even though he's under indictment for crimes against humanity and possible genocide by the International Criminal Court of Justice, and also by the International Criminal Court for crimes, the United States is going to receive him anyway. And President Trump has said over this past weekend that the real solution to the problem in Gaza is just to clean them out, as the Biden administration sought to do. If you remember the immediate aftermath of October 7th events in 2023, the first thing that the Biden administration did in concert with the Israelis was send Anthony Blinken, then the Secretary of State, to Amman and Cairo to try to get the Jordanians and the Egyptians to open their borders so that the Israelis could force out 2 million Gazans into those nations. And not only did the Jordanians and the Egyptians say no, in an unprecedented event, they refused to meet with Joe Biden. It's the first time and only time that, at least I know about, that a US president was snubbed. And the Jordanians and the Egyptians have resoundingly, along with the entire Arab League, said no to receiving Palestinians from Gaza or even the West Bank. I want to dwell on this for a moment. There's 2 million, 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza now, an area of 5 miles by 25 miles, that over the past 50 months has been completely destroyed. by the Israelis. And I want people to just picture that in your mind. You've seen the pictures of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians moving from South Gaza, where they've been cornered, back into northern Gaza. And they're returning to absolute rubble. They estimate that over 90% of all the homes have been destroyed or damaged and therefore have become uninhabitable. Over 70% of all the buildings, the churches, the hospitals, the mosques, the schools, the cemeteries, the markets have been completely destroyed. Most of the 2 million Gazans are either starving or malnourished. 50% of the entire population in Gaza is under 20 years old. So most of the people that are suffering are essentially children. And the Trump administration, following the Biden administration, wants to wipe them out completely, so that the Israelis can take over Gaza, level it, and bring in another ethnic group, which they consider to be superior. It's one thing to ponder what Hitler and the Nazis did to the Jews in an event that is past. It's another thing, I would posit, for our contemplation today, to contemplate a genocide that is not only ongoing, but is supported and perpetrated by the United States and the European countries that gave rise to the Holocaust 80 years ago. I made this point yesterday, and it's worth making again today. The Holocaust did not emerge sui sponte out of the demented psyche of Adolf Hitler. It came after 2,000 years of anti-Semitism in Europe, fostered by the Christian religion. And when the Holocaust was happening then, between 1939 and 1945, the European nations, knowing it was happening, did not lift a finger to stop it. That's a historical record. And rather than dealing with the Holocaust as an issue that Europe and Christianity needed to resolve, they aided and abetted the Jews that they had displaced into setting up the nation state of Israel, founded on the same principles of ethnic cleansing and racial superiority that had engendered the Holocaust in the first place. And now, as the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians what the Germans did to the Jews, it's the Americans and the Europeans again that are fostering it, providing the aid, providing the weapons, and now making it clear they're not finished. So when we contemplate forgiveness for a crime that we are aiding and abetting through our tax dollars and through our silence, what does that even mean other than platitudes? I want to add one more point. Harvard University, my alma mater, last week issued draconian regulations on all students at Harvard, stipulating that any mention of Gaza or genocide was a punishable offense in the Harvard community. And in the aftermath of this surgence of protest across the university campuses last year that embarrassed the Biden administration but did not stop it, the counterattack by the Jewish supremacists was to overthrow the presidencies of the presidents of Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, and Columbia, in an unprecedented act of violation of free speech. And so not only is the crime ongoing, but the political class is now repressing academic freedom and free speech in the United States, so that even protest by students is a punishable event, including expulsion for even talking about it. The racists are doubling down. And so again, what does forgiveness mean in a crime that is not only ongoing, but we're perpetrating as a nation, as prevailing civic institutions? How far does the culpability go? Who is there even to forgive when it's us as much as Netanyahu, as the White House prepares to receive him with honors to the U.S. Capitol and into the sanctum of the Oval Office of the White House? What does forgiveness mean under these conditions? So thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Humanity Rising as we ponder these issues day by day, in the spirit of Socrates, our mentor, that the pursuit of these matters must be done in the spirit of truth pursued, not truth possessed. And it is in the questions that the illumination most deeply lies.